Hey, good morning, guys. It's been a minute. Um, got a couple things I wanted to show you and talk to you about. I've been doing a little bit of stuff on InputMapper, but it's mostly in support of another project that I am sort of throwing a little bit of time behind. Um, I fixed a couple bugs that were brought to me, and I also um, added a couple more features as far as like access tuning, stuff like that. Just stuff that were specific requests from somebody. So I got that stuff done. I also have been starting to work on a what's called inter-process communication. I already sort of had something in place that allowed for single instances of InputMapper to run. So if you tried to run it a second time, it wouldn't open. It would just like bring the previous copy to the Windows foreground. And that required a little bit of communication between the two instances that for a brief second were running. So I had a little bit of IPC in place, but now it's starting to get a little more robust because I want to have this other project that I'm working on communicate with it in real time. So I'm still working on the communication between the two of them, but I figured I might also show off some of the other project because for those of you that do PC gaming and all that stuff, and for any of you that do any modding um, for PCs, you might find this kind of interesting. So what I'm doing basically is, you see I'm on my crappy camera right now because I have my good camera actually pointed at a screen that I have inside my computer case. Let me pull back here for a second just so you can get a kind of overview shot. You see there? And I have permanently added a screen inside the case. And the purpose of that is, like a lot of other people do, is to show live statistics of the actual computer. I think it's still in focus. Um, and to that ends, you can always do stuff like, hold on, let me actually exit it. There we go. And as you can see, it's just a regular screen HDMI hooked up into my graphics card through a, let me see if I can move this again. My graphics card has a internal HDMI connector. You can see it, it's on the far side right there. So I kind of lucked out. I didn't have to loop it around the back, but it's able to plug into this guy right here. And I'll have the link to this screen down in the description. But basically, it's just a cheap for like Arduino, Pi, Raspberry Pi, stuff like that. Like a $40 HDMI screen. Really cheap. And then I, of course, got the cables and all that stuff for the power and the video. And created a... I created an enclosure out of this plastic divider material. It's like a really thin PVC. It's like a notebook divider, and you can see I cut it out and created a black case for it. So I got that sitting inside my computer now, and what you see a lot of people doing is they'll have a copy of CAM running, and they'll just have this dragged over there and running on that screen. And to me, I think that's kind of tacky because first of all, it's not really optimized for that, and you got a bunch of UI controls and all that are meant for user interaction. It's not really the purpose it's meant to serve, but it kind of looks cool. So instead of doing that, what I decided to do was to write my own little piece of software, conveniently called StatScreen. And you see it launched over there now. And basically what this is it's a full screen program over there that has some added functionality for this specific use. And by added functionality, what I mean is if I bring up the settings window, instead of having to drag that screen over there, I was able to set up in the configuration here which screen I want to always dedicate to that output. I can have it start up with Windows automatically. I can prevent window intrusion, which means that Windows, like if you get alerts or something, sometimes Windows will want to reposition onto the wrong monitor. This will relocate anything that tries to open on that screen to your primary monitor. Prevent mouse intrusion. That's another nice feature, meaning your mouse can't get stuck over there, which is kind of annoying sometimes. You know, your mouse, especially if you have, like me, you got a lot of monitors. I have this one that's inside the PC now. I have a side monitor, a 16:9. I have a primary 21:9 monitor, and then I have a side 4K display. So I got 4 monitors. So along all that screen real estate, it's pretty easy to lose track of where my mouse cursor is, especially if it gets trapped in this little screen that's inside my case where the mouse cursor is only a couple pixels. So what we can do is we can prevent the mouse from even being able to go over there. I have it disabled because I'm still testing and playing around with stuff, but so far it seems to be working pretty good. When I'm done, toying with it, it seems to work pretty good. Of course, we can select the monitor, and then down here to the actual meat and potatoes, the screen editor, which is, okay, well, that shouldn't be throwing an error. We're just going to ignore that and continue. Bam, here we go. So what this is this is actually modeled off of Visual Studio's editor. You'll see a lot of similarities here because it is pretty much based off of that. And what we can do here is, using this drag and drop WYSIWYG interface, we can actually edit the controls that we want, the gauges, the text, the images, anything we want on that screen. We can just drag and drop in it, move it around, make it look however we want, which gives us a lot more functionality than any of these other programs out there have. So that said, what we're going to do is we're going to toy around with it a little bit. Maybe give it a little gradient background. Something like this. I'm a Bucks fan, so the rest of my case is red and black, so this kind of fits. Maybe a little bit darker of a red, so it's not too distracting. And what I'll do is I'll hit save, and I'll actually send that over there now. See, there it is. So we can go ahead and let's see. I got other stuff in here. Go into my downloads folder. Put some pictures on there if I wanted to. That's huge. And let's see, make sure that is. Oop. Ah, found a couple more bugs here, huh? That might have been a bug in actual Visual Studio, because that locked up my copy of Visual Studio. There we go. Okay, yeah, my Visual Studio is locked up here. Alright, we're gonna... Yes. Yes. Alright, we're going to try relaunching it. This time I'm going to launch it outside of Visual Studio. Alright. Go back into our editor here. Alright, what I was looking for here is this. There we go. Seems to be running smoother now. There we go. And now we can put it in there. Alright, so this is the simple stuff. We can stylize it to make it look how we want. We can even add videos. So what I'm going to do is I am going to get out of the way. This editor still has some bugs in it that we're working out. Yeah, this seems to be... Oh, okay, let's close the editor, bring it back up. There we go. Now I get the resize controls. Okay, a couple bugs. Actually, this editor wasn't written by me, so I'll have to submit a bug report for that. But yeah, there we go. We can even have animated backgrounds. So now on to the actual gauge stuff. So we have a couple ones that I've been working on over here, like a circular progress bar, bar graph, line chart. We're going to start with the line chart. And we're going to call this our CPU usage. Alright, and there's a couple settings in there that we can play around with. Right now I'm just going to take a look at the border and the border thickness, just to give it a kind of like nice outline there. So what we do is we have that graph. Now we go into the data binding screen and we see CPU usage showing up here, and we can assign it a source. So I'm still working on creating sources and all that stuff for that. Obviously I only have a couple in there to test. But go ahead, hit apply. Oh, actually, this is another bug. It wants to keep setting this to bottom when it should be top, which makes it so it doesn't show up on the other screen. So let's try that again. And there you go. You can see it on the other screen going, and it's got the little graph on there. Put another one. I'll use a circular progress bar this time. Let's see. Let's make sure this is set to... see, keeps setting at the bottom. So. And we'll call this one GPU usage, or just GPU. And go over here into the bindings. Oh, I don't have GPU set up in here yet. Okay, we'll call this one package temp. There we go. And we probably want to throw a little text on there. We'll do a text gauge. And let's see what I got in here. Actually, I know I have a nice, there we go, this guy. Yeah, we'll set that also to package temp. Save it. Oh. Yep, the same thing. I really gotta figure out why it keeps doing that. That makes it very annoying. There we go. So, very basic. You can see I just threw a couple gauges on there just to kind of show it off. And there's a lot more gauges coming. I also have a couple that I didn't show off, like the progress bar, the regular bar graph. There's, just some other kind of things you can use for just drawing and making things look, nice and organized, or however you want to do it. But yeah, there's a lot of possibilities to this. So I figured it was going to be something cool, just because, I got the little thing on my computer now. I wanted to kind of write something specifically for it, and, in the process of doing that, make it, accessible to you guys. So, I'll keep tinkering with this, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. All right, have a good one.